Hello, my name is Deacon Medwick, and I'm sure we've all been in a boring history class and we've heard the name Napoleon many times. But if we delve a little bit deeper, we can find something very exciting and somewhat controversial. After sitting through many of those boring history classes that I'm sure you all have too, we have heard the life and legacy of Napoleon many times, and it piqued my interest because why is he beloved by some but hated by others? Recently, there's been much debate over if Napoleon was a net positive or net negative in our human history, and this speech will work to answer that question. Today, I'll be informing all of you about the life of Napoleon Bonaparte and the legacy he leaves with us. I'll also be debating whether he is or whether he should be looked upon favorably in our human history. Throughout this presentation, I'll touch on Napoleon's achievements and his failures. I'll also discuss his military innovations and why he's a net positive or a negative in history. So let's begin. Napoleon Bonaparte. The French Revolution altered Europe's politics, society, and economics. It also created a sense of nationalism that spurred many large wars that the world had not seen before. Napoleonic France mobilized the population by having young men, women, older men, and children participate in the war effort. This is comparable to when the United States, after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in World War II. Due to the obscene growth of the French army during Napoleon's reign, there had to be a way of organization called the corps system. Napoleon did not invent the corps system, he utilized it. He was the first significant general to utilize it to its full potential. Each corps consisted of cavalry, infantry, and artillery that moved separately from one another. They moved through centralized control, and this increased movement speed and improved logistical support. These units could work individually and in tandem with one another to form military concepts that we still use today. Another strength of Napoleon's military was the experience they held. This is because when he formed his military, there seemed to be a move away from the traditional commoner to seasoned and professional veterans, allowing for more decentralized maneuvers and increased speed on the battlefield. Though Napoleon's innovations were not technological or super popular, he laid the groundwork for some of the concepts that armies around the world, including the US, still use today. So if Napoleon was a military genius, then why did his war fail in the end? The downfall of Napoleon in France happened for three main reasons, as you see here. Napoleon made three significant mistakes in his final years as Emperor of France, and the first was the continental system. This sought to weaken England by encouraging neutral and allied nations of France to cease trade with England. However, due to the vast wealth of England's natural resources, they did not suffer economically. Ironically, this only hurt France economically in the end. The second mistake was the Peninsular War. This was Napoleon's attempt to invade the Iberian Peninsula, which consisted of Spain and Portugal. Who was aided by England. Though the French ended up winning the war, it proved quite costly, serving as a turning point in Napoleon's reign. This prompted allies to turn on France, and due to the fact that Spain was also once an ally. The final nail in the coffin for Napoleon was the attempt to raid Russia. Due to the freezing cold temperatures, the French army was in conditions they had never seen before. This in conjunction with the famous scorched earth policy that the Russians used to limit the food supply of the French army. Finally, in June of 1815, Napoleon's reign would end with the defeat of the famous Battle of Waterloo, attempting to invade Belgium, in which he was promptly exiled to the remote island of Elba. He was then exiled a second time in his attempt to retake the crown to St. Helena, another remote island off the coast of Africa. Now that we've seen the good and the bad of Napoleon, where does he end up in history? Was he a friend or was he a foe? He ended the Reign of Terror and brought stability to France. He wanted education for all, establishing a network of schools, and abolishing various anti-Semitic laws in the territories that he conquered. However, though he did end the Reign of Terror and the French Revolution, the revolution sought to abolish the monarchy. He himself became a monarch, as you see here. He is an emperor. He also appointed relatives to power, just as an aristocrat would. This also came with a restriction on the press and a secret police that would spy on the public. Napoleon himself was never simple. The complex and contradicting aspects of his personality exemplified his political and wartime decisions. On one hand, he was a savior of France, and then brought them out of the revolution. But on the other, he was a maddened tyrant hungry for power. Which one do you think is only something that history can judge? In summary, the debate on whether Napoleon was a benefit to our history is still up there. But I hope that my speech has cleared up your opinion on the matter. I also hope that you now see that wartime contributions Napoleon made, and also why Napoleonic France failed as an empire. But here's a quote for you to think about by the historian and professor Chris Clark. His relationship with the French Revolution is deeply ambivalent. But did he stabilize it, or did he shut it down? Is there any questions?
I have one. I mean, if he ruled like a monarch, why did the French public support him?
Well, the answer to that is he brought stability to a corrupt France that needed stability in the Reign of Terror, obviously. So he was liked because he brought stability to France. Any more questions? Thank you for listening to my speech.
Yeah.